it was horrendous. It was awful, and it was rainy and windy. My director of photography nearly died from a tree falling on him.
I wanted to talk to you about the excellent Ida Mae video, Baby I Need a Driver, which I love. Can you tell me a little bit how the project came about?
Yes, I think it was about December time. Ida Mae and their management had gone into a meeting with Amazon Music. I think basically they had created a track with T-Bone Burnett for an Amazon series called Produced By, which is, I think, where they get hot shot, amazing producers in. They do a bunch of bands. I know that Manchester Orchestra did one on the same session as Ida Mae.
Yeah.
And then through Ida Mae, I think either having a chat with Amazon about next steps or whatever it might have been, Amazon had sort of come to light that they liked Ida Mae's visuals and they were super into the music videos. I obviously have done, I think, 6 music videos with Ida Mae now. So essentially ran their kind of video creative side of things. And they were super into it. And for some reason, the Americans are really getting the music videos.
Okay.
Or when they went on their big tour with Greta Van Fleet, everybody was just going mad about the video. So Amazon were in the same mold. They asked if I wanted to pitch in on shooting a video for Amazon and collaborating with Ida Mae on it. And I was sitting on my sofa watching Midsummer, the cult Ari Aster film. And I was like midway through it and I was thinking, God, I really want to shoot like a folk horror film. I've wanted to do it for like years.
Yeah.
And then Chris called me up and he was like, right, we're in a meeting with Amazon. Do you have any ideas for a music video? It could literally be anything. Just put a pitch together, send it to me now. We'll in the meeting, we'll give it to them. We'll see what they think. And I was like, not really. So like I put together this mad, ridiculous cult creative, and labels never sign off on the first creative, as I'm sure you know. They never go for the first thing. But I think Chris said they basically put it in front of them. They were like, yeah, you guys can do whatever you like. Just shoot whatever. Gave us some money and then we went and shot it, which is ridiculous. Yeah.
That is amazing. That's so cool. That's so cool it came about that way as well. So like on this kind of project, can you talk me through like the initial stages? What went into that initial kind of draft to like Amazon Music? And also, I guess, like, do you use like a storyboard kind of process or how do you work?
You tend to, I mean, it sort of differs with each industry. With the music video, because it's lower budget, quicker turnaround, there's less you can do in the sort of pre-production side of things and the pitching side of things. The initial stage was the top line creatives. So I pitched that, Amazon signed off on it, which we just didn't expect. So I think we came up with 2 creatives. One, which was what Chris and Steph said, go all in, just throw everything you want to, go even that extra further and just whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then cut down on a creative, which will be more achievable, lower budget, less kind of extreme. They went for the first creative, which is never the case. So we've never been in that position where we're like, okay, wow. So the top line was signed off on, and then I put together a storyboard and a kind of previs where you just put the storyboard to the music, so to speak.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think that sort of took about a week, and then it was just into the scouting the locations and casting and all that kind of stuff.
Did they kind of leave that to you, or did they want input on that?
Do you know what? I mean, Amazon as a brand get a bad rap, and I think there's certain things rightly so, but Amazon Music were the coolest, easiest company we've ever had to deal with.
Amazing.
And Ida Mae are luckily on 30 Tigers, so I think, and they do a lot of stuff themselves. So as far as Ida Mae go, they're very trusting in my creative and trusting in my filmmaking. So that they just let me do whatever I like and never rein me in that much anymore. So it was actually an incredibly easy process. Yeah.
I've not really had too much experience on that side of things myself. So like in terms of kind of obviously, location and cast, like how easy is it to kind of, put all that together?
It's incredibly difficult. It's like, I would like to say it's easy, but it's just not, especially with music videos, which are increasingly becoming more and more low budget. nothing else changes in terms of budget. You know, a location will be the same amount of money regardless whether you're doing a music video or if you're doing a,
Yeah.
you know, a series for Netflix. So it becomes increasingly difficult, and what that means is that you have to be more and more kind of imaginative about where you decide to shoot things, and you also have to call in a lot of favors. You have to, you know, basically bargain a lot with,
Yeah.
and thankfully I had an amazing producer called Charlotte who did all of that for us. So with the location, I decided, because it was a 60s cult, what they would have had was a commune, and a commune is very similar to glamping and camping, and that whole new kind of thing. So I had been to a campsite called Moat Island, which is where we shot it, and it's Lewis Ennals, who you might know, but he basically, with a guy called Roy, created this incredible campsite and made their own bridges out of leftover wood and big yurts and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And it's exactly what a place like this kind of cult would live.
Yeah.
And so we went to them and sort of pleaded with them a little bit. And because it was off season, we got it for quite cheap and quite a reasonable rate. But it was incredible. It was so difficult, man. Like looking for a location, because the first thing you think of is a field, right? And then you kind of go, right, okay. And then you go to a bunch of Norfolk farms and talk to a bunch of dudes and go, we're going to use this. As soon as you say it's for Amazon, they put another zero on.
Yeah.
So then you say it's for Ida May, they'll Google them and go, well, they're doing okay for themselves, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult, and because of the way the industry is, you can't just say we're doing a student film and then do an Amazon shoot with a cast of 50 or whatever it is. So yeah, it was really tough, but thankfully Norfolk gifts us a lot of those kind of things, like, you know, glamping spots and
very
generous.
cultish in Norfolk.
Yeah, exactly. It is, man. It is.
So what can you tell me sort of about the filming process itself on the day, like how long it is, I guess the logistics of putting it together?
All in all, for pre-production, it was 2 months pretty solidly. And then we had organised, due to like budget constraints and also the year, we were shooting in February outside, which is everybody told us not to do.
Yeah.
Completely fair enough, but everybody told us not to do it. It was 2 days that we booked it out for, and it was during, well, we didn't plan for this, but it was during Storm Kira. I think it was called Storm Kira. Pre-Storm Dennis or Denny, can't remember. But it was the worst filming conditions ever. And obviously you have hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of gear. You have, we had a crew, a cast of 45 people, one of which was Hannah Britland, who is a very established credited actress. So her turning up to a fucking glamping site with me, all kind of like stressy and sweaty, she was very good. But and then a crew of 10 who obviously all are worth X amount, and then their gear is worth X amount, all these kind of things. And eventually, because of the storm, we shot it in what I say 1.2, 1.3 days, which is just unheard of. I think there was easily over 100 shots, and you can basically plan for, you know, 6 setups, if that. I mean, 2 setups really per day. I think you should shoot a minute a day is what they say. And we shot 4 minutes in 1.3 days. It was horrendous. It was awful, and it was rainy and windy. My director of photography nearly died from a tree falling on him. It was awful, man. It was generally the most stressful thing. And I remember, because you have 2 choices, right? You can either compromise creative or you can compromise logistics. So I remember my producer sitting us down, and she was like, it's going to be record winds. Like, you need to prepare yourself for the worst winds ever. We're in a campsite surrounded by trees, and there's a lot of people who could die so you have to make the right decision. And it's sort of my job to be like, well, I want to shoot the creative, so sorry. And it's her job to have a panic attack every 2 seconds, every tree that bends in a slightly wrong way. And I'm glad that we did, but it was really awful. I mean, we were up at 4 and on set by 6. And then we were off set by maybe 8, 9 o'clock the first night. And we had got out on the Friday so that I could have a big team meeting with Hannah and, you know, the main actors as well as the main crew.
Mm.
And we all got really drunk, and that was a big problem. So
Yeah.
6 in the morning, wading through a storm to shoot. Yeah. So yeah, it was 1.2 days of just awful
That sounds wild.
conditions. Yeah, it was.
I always find it fascinating, like coming up with music video concepts, especially because this is, you know, a mini film that like put to like a track. I think maybe a lot of emerging artists maybe put too much emphasis on like, oh, this lyric says this lyric, I have to do something with this lyric.
Totally.
Do you have like any advice for emerging bands to, whilst that might be good, to maybe think outside the box for that connection?
Yeah, it's difficult, man. I'm really lucky with Ida Mae in the sense that they are firstly fully trusting of my creative. So they don't actually. Steph gets really involved with the styling of it because she's just insanely stylish and a very cool person. Chris really kind of teams up with me on reference points and films we're watching and things like that. And we're just very interlinked with our creative. So it's very easy to come up with creatives and very easy for a band like Ida Mae are very innovative, despite being classically and vintage sounding, very innovative and forward thinking in the way that they release music, make music, do that type of thing. So it's very easy for them just to be like, you know, go off and do what you like. And I'm starting to realize that that's incredibly rare as well. You know, I do a lot of creatives. I get asked to do a lot of music videos, and I say I turn down 95% of them because either people aren't brave enough to do what you said, the film and the kind of take it away from that connection that you have with it lyrically and musically. And then a lot of other people want to shoot, have this kind of impression that a music video is an advert, which I suppose it is. But, you know, we've gone into creatives before where people just want to dance around in the music videos, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've shot those videos before. I've really loved the artists I've shot them for, but there's nothing really creatively fulfilling about doing that for me. And I'm in a position where I can say no to those things, which is great. What I would say to upcoming artists is that it doesn't matter whether you want to make a separate film or a film that's connected with lyrics, or if you want to base a creative around something that is interlinked with your song or not. As long as you're doing something that's authentic and honest and truthful, then you can't lose, really. It's when you start pushing yourself into something that's not really you that an audience can spot it a mile off.
Yeah.
Also, just trusting directors and filmmakers and creatives to do a good job of it, you know. With Ida Mae, they very much, I mean, with a lot of artists that I've worked with, Sivu included, has always gone, well, you're the filmmaker, you know best, you go do the thing. And it's very hard to do that from the perspective of being an artist, being a musician myself. I found it so difficult to let go of the ideas that I had in place for a song and a place where I should go and the visuals behind it, because that's what you do, right? You go into a studio, you visualize everything, you visualize the music video and all that kind of stuff. The best thing you do is not do that and give it to a filmmaker who might come up with something completely different, completely unique. But art is varied to such a degree that it's so hard to give advice, isn't it? To say you should do this creatively. What they should do is, either trust in the creative that they really like, or completely trust themselves and tell everybody else to bugger off and do it themselves, which is also cool.
And what about advice for videographers or filmmakers? Because I feel like the Ida Mae Baby I Need a Driver video is so, like, the track is really emotional anyway, and the video properly connects to that, like the visuals and like the heartbreak, and there's so much emotion in it. Do you have any advice on getting that kind of emotion across?
Just completely indulging in the track just over and over again. Filmmakers sort of vary in their processes on how they come up with creatives, how they go about directing things, what they're going to want to direct and stuff. And a lot of people have a tone that they want to stick to, so it's hard because you're limiting yourself with that. With me, I remember the ending of the song being incredibly hard hitting, and Chris's voice is just very good at evoking emotion anyways. Well, Chris and Steph, sorry. I mean, Steph's is beautiful. I was listening to that and I remember having, you know, you have to put your own personal connection to it. And I think loss was a great thing. And that I just, 2 years before gone through a big breakup with a fiance. So that was easy to apply to something. And you think about those kind of kind of really raw emotional things that you can apply to the visual side of it. And after I did that, you can then backtrack and go, okay, well, you can reference that to Bonnie and Clyde, and you can reference that to these kind of Greek theatre traditions and Shakespearean traditions of loss, like love that can never be, and all those kind of things. And then you start reading into them, and then you can find emotion in so much of this kind of domino effect of things. And that starts with what you personally feel, that personal connection that you feel with that track. And that's why I sort of tend to go for tracks. I mean, I'd advise to every filmmaker to just go for tracks that you genuinely like. If if you genuinely love a track, shoot the thing for free. I mean, Ida Mae, the first 2 videos, me and my partner Luke shot it entirely on our budget, on our pocket, because Ida Mae were skint, and we loved them so much that we're like, no, we'll shoot this. We'll rent a camera. We'll do everything. So I would say just find music that you genuinely really love, and then just do everything you can to make it and put that personal touch to it, which will hopefully make it unique. It always comes back to, like, I'm rabbiting on about this, but it always comes back to, like, audiences can see authenticity and truthfulness. And I think Hannah and Alfie, the actors in that Ida Mae music video, does an incredible performance, an insane performance. But before that, there was probably about 3 months worth of telling them why they're heartbroken, the hour on set of pulling them aside and getting them to tap into that and talking to them about their own personal loss and all those things. And then right at the beginning of that is Chris's and Steph's emotion and their 3 months or year or 2 years of making that track. And that begins with Chris and Steph's heartbreak, loss, tragedy, sadness, happiness, whatever it is. So you have to respect that whole process to that point. If you don't give it the respect it deserves, then you're an idiot. So if Chris and Steph went through so much of a process to create that track, then I'd be such an idiot to not have my own process to then come up with that thing. So it is just, also the advice would be just graft your absolute arse off. Like, give each scene the respect it deserves, because it took 3 months to get to that bloody scene. And when I saw it happening, I was like, oh, people are going to connect with this. This is real. Like, but that's the long, pretentious answer. You can take small answers out of that.
It's really hard at this kind of time as well because of the lockdown. In theory, if things go back to normal, do you already have stuff planned for the next kind of things?
Yeah, I sort of have. With Ida Mae, they're doing their next record now. So me and Chris have already started the very early process of sending each other films, sending each other funny memes and silly things, which always starts some sort of thinking process. He's starting to put together budgets, and they're starting to get together that kind of visual side of things. But I don't even think they've finished their record yet. So I think they're 16 songs in, and then at some point they'll send them all to me. And I think our next project is far bigger. We're talking a lot about doing one for every track, or at least half the album, or whatever it might be. It's going to be far more ambitious. That's the next big thing. Because I write a lot, I've got like scripts always in the works of, we've got me and my partner, Tim Swaby, owns Spindle, which is an awesome company. We've been writing an ensemble comedy thing for 3 years now. So that's now in pitching process. And then at the same time as that, you've got short films that you're planning. And then I've always got Ida Mae at the forefront of my mind, because I'm always thinking, right, well, those are the guys who I want to really put time across to. And then you've got all these new pictures coming in, new bands and things like that. And so I've got a few. I don't know where it stands now because of COVID. We cancelled all the shoots. I was having chats with people, and we were getting somewhere, and then it'll dip back down because of all of this. I know that the Ida Mae stuff will be on. Whether the other bands that I've been talking to will make it, I'm not sure. It also is completely time allowance, of who I can give because I don't want to go into anything half-heartedly. And then I've also got new music coming out and my side of things, which I'll have to put visuals to. So yeah, there's a lot in the pipeline. But yeah, as you said, until it's all lifted and we know what the hell's going on, I have no idea. No idea.
Thanks so much to TP Hyland for an illuminating conversation. I don't know about you, but I found it fascinating to hear about his process, behind the scenes, and how you pitch your ideas, in this case to Amazon Music. Leave a comment below with your thoughts and if you have any follow-up questions. Next week, my guest is Ashani. We discuss how she uses songwriting to express her feelings of mental health. We talk about her performance at Reading and Leeds Festival last year and more. Please support this series by clicking subscribe below. You can also recommend me guests in the comments below. Thank you for watching, stay safe and stay connected.